Okay, students, so today we're going to be talking about the past progressive still, right? When we say was and then a verb and then we add ing at the end, like was talking, we were taking the bus, those kinds of things. So today we're going to learn how to make them into negatives, meaning the opposite or no, and how to make them into questions. So the past progressive, we know from last class, is you were taking the bus. You were not taking the bus. Were you taking the bus? So these are the three different ways you can write the past progressive. So this one is the positive past progressive. So you're saying that that's what you were doing. You were taking the bus. This is the negative. You were not taking the bus. And this is the question, were you taking the bus? So we're going to practice putting together the past progressive in a sentence, and to review how we make it, because it's important to know this in order to make questions and negatives. So up here I put the present and past of I am, he is, she is, it is, they are, and we are, because we need to remember that when we're making the past, we need to use was or were, depending on who we're talking about. So I just put it up here to help you. So my boss is, and we have the verb leave, the office to go home. So that's the sentence that we have, and we need to make it past progressive. So the things that we need to do is, one, we need to change is to the past tense, and we need to change the verb leave to progressive. So we need to put an ing at the end. So first we know that we need to use is, because my boss is a she. It could be a he, or it doesn't have to be a he or a she. We just know that we're talking about another person that isn't us, and there's only one of them. So that's why it's going to be is. So, but the past tense of is, right, is the past is was. So my boss was, and we just put an ing at the end of leave. My boss was leaving the office to go home. So that's how you make it past progressive. The next sentence, my son is pick me up. So we know that my son, the past tense of is, my son is he. So that's why we are using is. And the past of is he is, he was. He was is the past tense. My son was, and the verb pick, which is simple present form, we need to make it progressive, right? So we put an ing at the end. My son was picking me up. The next sentence, the patients are eat lunch. So the only thing that we need to make past is are, and the past of are is were. So we use they, the patients is just they, so that's why we're using are, and the past tense of are is were, so that's why we use were. And eat, we don't need to make eat past tense. The only thing we need to make past tense is this verb right here, the to be verb. So eat just becomes eating. The patients were eating lunch. The next sentence, my family and I are go on vacation. So my family and I is we, right? That's why it says are. We are. We are, we need to make it past tense, so we change it to we were. We, my family and I, were, and then go. We just need to put an ing at the end. We were going on vacation. So we're going to do some more practice of that. I am work late last week. So to make it past tense, here's our little chart to help us again. I was working late last week. So was is the past of am, and the only thing we need to do to change the verb is add ing for past progressive. You are help me. So you is who we're talking about. The past of are is were, right? You were, and then we need to put the ing, helping me. You were helping me. Our next sentence is Mark is look for you. Mark is, so he is past tense, he was. Mark was, ing at the end, looking for you. Mark was looking for you. The next sentence, we are do our work. So are, we know that the past tense is were. We used it up here. We were, and then we add an ing. We were doing our work. That's the past, right? That shows us the were is what's telling us that it was in the past, and the progressive of the verb, doing, the ing, is what tells us that it was something that was happening and it was ongoing, right? So to make past progressive negative, we're going to use the regular past progressive, so the one that we've been learning. We were driving to work. So I underlined this verb here. So to make the past progressive a negative, or to say no, we put not in between were and the verb that we're using, the ing verb. So we were driving to work turns into we were not driving to work, or we weren't driving to work. You can say it that way too. So to make the sentence negative, the people were standing in line. To make the sentence negative, we need to put the not right here to say the people were not standing in line. So that's how we make it negative. The vacuum was working. So this one's saying, yes, the vacuum was working. But we want to say, no, it is not working. So to say that in the past it was not working, the vacuum was not working. So we just put not right here to say no. My daughter was moving to Utah. My daughter was not moving to Utah. That means no, right? And we just put it between was and moving. My car was working. My car was not working. Again, we put the not in between this, the was, and the verb that is saying what's happening. To make questions, what you do is they were walking to the cafeteria. Just like the other questions we've learned how to do, all we do is flip were to the front of the sentence and they after were. So they just switch places in the sentence. So instead of saying they were walking to the cafeteria, which is telling somebody what happened, you can ask somebody by saying, were they walking to the cafeteria? To make it a question. The next one, the sink was working. We need to move was, which is over here, to the beginning of the sentence, and the sink behind it. Was the sink working? Which is the question. So this one is telling somebody the sink was working. So in the past, the sink was turning on, it was turning off, and water was coming out. So that means, yes, it was working. And for this sentence, was the sink working? It's just asking somebody if it was turning on, if it was turning off, that kind of thing. So we're going to make these sentences into questions. So you were making dinner tonight. So to make it a question, we need to put were at the beginning of the sentence. Were you making dinner tonight? That's the question. All we did was put were in front of you. There was toilet paper. To make it a question, we put was before there. Was there toilet paper? They were going to lunch. To make it a question, were they going to lunch? Your phone is working. So that's a statement. Your phone is working. This one is in present tense. Is your phone working? So that is how you turn that into a question. So all of these questions are in past tense. This one is in present tense. Your phone is, because we use the word is. If we wanted to make it past tense, your phone was working. Was your phone working? That's how we would make it past tense. So to switch in between present tense and past tense is really easy, because all you have to change about any of these sentences that we've learned is using was or is or were or are. Let's go back to this. So remember that I am is present, am is present, is present, and are is present. Was is past, and were is past. So all of these sentences have been in present or past tense because we're talking about the past progressive. But when we do the present progressive, it would be I am working late. We wouldn't keep the last week because last week tells us the time. But we could say, you are helping me. That's present tense, and past is you were helping me. So that's the past progressive. So you are helping me is present in the moment right now. They are helping you, and it keeps going. But when we use you were helping me, that means that happened in the past and it's not still happening anymore. Something, it stopped or it changed. And that's why we use the past progressive. So just let me know if you have any questions.